Let me give you a number. 2 million cars. That is not a small number. That is not a struggling startup scraping together sales. 2 million cars sold in a single calendar year is more than the entire population of some countries buying a vehicle, all in 12 months. Now, let me give you a second number. Negative $2.7 billion. That is how much money the company that sold those 2 million cars made last year. Not revenue, profit. They lost $2.7 billion while selling 2 million cars. Sit with that for a second, because it should not be possible. Selling 2 million of anything at an average price of $35,000 to $50,000 each should produce one of the largest profit checks in corporate history. Instead, it produced one of the most embarrassing financial results in the automotive industry in the last decade. So how? How does a company move that much product, collect that much cash from customers, and still end the year billions of dollars in the red? That is not bad luck. That is not a market downturn. That is a structural collapse hiding inside a revenue number that looks healthy from the outside. Today we are going to take it apart, piece by piece. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how a company can be simultaneously one of the biggest car sellers on the planet and one of its worst-run businesses. Let's go. The brand you've never heard of, that you interact with every day. The company is Stellantis. And if that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, that's part of the problem and part of the story. Stellantis was created in January 2021 through the merger of two already massive automotive groups, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and PSA Group. The merger combined 14 car brands under one corporate roof. 14. Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, Vauxhall, DS Automobiles, Lancia, Abarth. You've almost certainly owned, driven, or ridden in a Stellantis vehicle in the last 5 years without ever knowing that a company called Stellantis existed. That is how large this company is. And that is exactly why what happened to them in 2024 is so significant. Because when a company this size loses money on this scale, the damage doesn't stay contained inside a boardroom. It spreads into factories, supply chains, dealer lots, and eventually jobs. In 2023, Stellantis posted net revenues of approximately 189 billion euros and a net profit of 18.6 billion euros. That was one of the most profitable years in automotive history, a profit margin of nearly 10%, which is elite performance in a notoriously low-margin industry. 12 months later, everything had changed. In fiscal year 2024, Stellantis reported a net loss of approximately 2.7 billion euros. Revenue had dropped by nearly 17%. Their North American business, by far their most profitable region, driven by Jeep and Ram trucks, had imploded. North American shipments fell by roughly 30% year over year, from plus 18.6 billion to minus 2.7 billion in 12 months. That is a swing of over 21 billion euros in a single year. For context, that is more money than the entire market capitalization of some publicly traded car companies. This did not happen because of a recession. This did not happen because of an act of God. This happened because of decisions, specific, traceable, arguably avoidable decisions made by specific people at the top of this company. The single most important thing to understand about Stellantis' collapse is not a headline number. It is an inventory problem that had been building for years and finally detonated. Under CEO Carlos Tavares, who had turned around PSA Group and was widely considered one of the most ruthless cost-cutters in the industry, Stellantis had been running a deliberate strategy of restricting vehicle supply to dealers. The logic was sound on paper. Less supply means higher prices per unit, which means better margins without having to build more cars. For 2 years, this worked extraordinarily well. Pandemic-era supply shortages had already pushed car prices to record highs. Stellantis leaned into this and kept prices elevated even as supply chains recovered and competitors started discounting to move inventory. The problem, at some point customers stopped paying premium prices for products that aren't worth premium prices. Jeep had become the crown jewel of Stellantis' North American business. But Jeep's quality rankings had been sliding for years. Consumer Reports, J.D. Power, and multiple independent reliability surveys were consistently placing Jeep near the bottom of their segments. Meanwhile, Ford's Bronco, Toyota's 4Runner Refresh, and Hyundai's off-road products were offering comparable capability with better build quality at lower prices. The inventory didn't back up gradually. It backed up all at once. By mid-2024, Stellantis had approximately 1.3 million vehicles sitting unsold on dealer lots across North America, more than double what healthy inventory levels should be. Dealers were furious, publicly, in a way that is almost never seen in the automotive industry. In the summer of 2024, something happened that almost never happens in the automotive industry. Dealers went public. The National Automobile Dealers Association, which represents franchise car dealerships across the United States, issued statements specifically calling out Stellantis' pricing strategy as unsustainable. Individual Jeep and Ram dealers were appearing in trade publications saying openly that they had not received accurate allocation promises, that Stellantis had been pushing cars onto their lots that the market could not absorb, and that the company's corporate communication had completely broken down. One dealer group with multiple Jeep and Ram locations told Automotive News that they had over $40 million in unsold inventory at one point, sitting on their lots, depreciating, costing them floor plan financing costs every single day. When dealers revolt publicly, the brand is already in crisis. Dealers do not want attention. They want to sell cars. When they start talking to journalists, it means they have exhausted every internal channel and have concluded that going public is the only leverage they have left. Here is the detail that makes the Stellantis story more than just a pricing miscalculation. Tavares had been CEO since the merger in 2021. His mandate from the board was profitability, not product investment, not quality improvement, not brand rebuilding. Profitability. In that context, cutting costs in engineering, manufacturing quality control, and product development made complete rational sense as a short-term strategy. And Stellantis' profit numbers in 2022 and 2023 proved that the strategy worked in the short term. But Jeep's reliability scores did not improve under Tavares. They declined. Ram truck owners began reporting quality issues in the 2022 and 2023 model years at rates that had not been seen in over a decade. Dodge was being phased out of a lineup without a clear successor strategy. Chrysler had been reduced to a single model, the Pacifica minivan, with no roadmap for expansion. A car brand's reputation is like a reservoir. You can drain it for years without the surface level visibly dropping. And then suddenly it is empty. By late 2024, Jeep's reservoir was empty. Customers who had loved the brand bought multiple Jeeps and brought their families into Jeep culture were posting videos of their broken-down vehicles on social media. The cultural narrative had shifted from Jeep people are a tribe to Jeeps break down all the time. Once that narrative takes hold, no amount of marketing can reverse it quickly. Stellantis had committed publicly to an ambitious EV transition plan. Under the brand umbrella, they were developing multiple electric platforms, the STLA Small, STLA Medium, STLA Large, and STLA frame architectures designed to underpin EV versions of their major brands. In practice, the execution was a disaster. The Ram 1500 REV, their electric full-size truck competing directly with Ford's F-150 Lightning and the Chevrolet Silverado EV, was delayed repeatedly and launched in such limited numbers that it was functionally invisible in the market. The Jeep Recon and Wagoneer S electric vehicles were announced with significant fanfare and then pushed back by 12 to 18 months. Meanwhile, Ford was selling electric F-150s at meaningful volume. Rivian was building brand loyalty in the truck space at a pace no one had predicted. Chevrolet was ramping up Silverado EV production. Stellantis was announcing, not delivering. In the EV race, announced vehicles generate press releases. Delivered vehicles generate revenue. The gap between what Stellantis said they would do and what they actually shipped to customers was measured in years and cost them a position in the fastest-growing segment of the market they will likely never fully recover. On December 1, 2024, Stellantis announced that Carlos Tavares had resigned as CEO, effective immediately by mutual agreement with the board. He had been in the role for less than 4 years. He had been considered one of the best automotive executives alive. And he left, or was removed, in the middle of the company's worst financial crisis since its formation. The official statement used the phrase, differing views. In corporate language, that phrase means one specific thing. The board had concluded that the person leading the company was no longer capable of solving the problem they were facing, and the departure needed to happen before the next earnings report made the full damage public. Tavares' exit package was not disclosed. His replacement was not immediately named. An interim executive committee took over, which is the corporate equivalent of putting a post-it note on a machine that is already on fire. The market responded accordingly. Stellantis' stock, which had already lost more than 40% of its value over the course of 2024, dropped further on the news. Stellantis in early 2025 has 3 realistic trajectories. Path 1, the brand purge. The new leadership team concludes that 14 brands are simply not manageable at profitable quality levels and begins a structured elimination process. Maserati, Lancia, Alfa Romeo, and DS Automobiles are all candidates, all of them losing money, all of them competing in premium segments where they lack the product investment to be credible. A leaner Stellantis, perhaps 8 brands instead of 14, might be financially viable. The question is whether the board has the appetite for the political and reputational cost of brand eliminations. Path 2, the regional retreat. Stellantis abandons ambitions of being a truly global automotive player and focuses on defending its core strongholds, Jeep and Ram in North America, Peugeot and Citroën in Europe. This is the Nissan strategy, and Nissan's experience suggests it buys time but does not solve the underlying problem. Path 3, the partnership or acquisition. Stellantis has assets, 14 brands, manufacturing infrastructure across 3 continents, a massive dealer network that are worth something to a competitor with capital but limited distribution. Renault, Volkswagen Group, or a Chinese automaker with European ambition could all be interested parties. A deal made from moderate strength is worth far more than a deal made from desperation. The Stellantis story is not really about one company's strategic miscalculation. It is about a question that the entire automotive industry is being forced to answer simultaneously. Can legacy car companies survive the transition to electric vehicles while maintaining the financial discipline required to run a traditional combustion engine business at the same time? Toyota's answer has been, delay the full EV commitment and double down on hybrids. It has so far worked financially. Tesla's answer was, ignore the legacy business entirely. It created enormous value but left enormous market segments unaddressed. Stellantis' answer was, run the existing business for maximum short-term profit while announcing an EV future you are not actually investing in at the required scale. The result is now visible in their balance sheet. They are not the last company that will face this reckoning. In 2023, Stellantis made more money than almost any car company on Earth. In 2024, they lost billions. The cars were largely the same. The factories were largely the same. The dealers were largely the same. What changed were the decisions about pricing, about inventory, about quality investment, about the speed of the EV transition, and about whether to tell the truth about all of it publicly before the numbers made truth unavoidable. 2 million cars sold. Billions of dollars lost. The math does not lie. Management decisions do. And when the decisions stop working, the only thing left is the number at the bottom of the income statement. If this video gave you something to think about, subscribe. We cover the stories that business media buries until the headlines have no choice but to catch up. See you in the next one.